So welcome everybody who's coming in here. Just a reminder that this meeting is being recorded, and that if you can go ahead and mute your microphones because this is going to be recorded and sent out. Really appreciate it because the background noise gets a little difficult. So my name is Brett Davison. I'm the principal at Silverton Middle School. This is one of many town hall parent forums that we've done over the past year. I was just talking to staff today about it is going to be a year to the day almost from when kids were last in the building, coming up here in another week, which is pretty amazing to think about. Been through a lot of things, but we're really excited about that. Like I say every time, I just want to be as transparent and open with you as possible, explain some of our thinking and our plans, and we want to make this transition as smooth as we can. And this meeting is going to be split into two parts. The first half will be talking about coming back in person, and the second part will be about the CDL program. And I have teachers here for that program that will be helping to explain what that's all about. So I'm going to get through as much as I can. I'm going to review pretty quick from some of the things we've talked about earlier. If some of that stuff seems too fast, it's probably because I did it in a previous meeting. So please take a look at the old recordings for that. So again, just like to review what we've talked about before. Last meeting, we split that meeting in half as well. Talked about hybrid in person a lot, but then talked about the CDL program as well. And we're going to do kind of the same format tonight, just adding a little bit more detail to some of the arrival and dismissal, some of the safety protocols and information, and then obviously diving a little deeper into the CDL program too for those people who've chosen that. So that being said, if you're a CDL family, I would just kind of ignore what we're going to be talking about for the next 15, 20 minutes because your information is at the end. And just wait for that process because we'll get really specific with that. So none of this is applicable to the CDL program, what I'm going to talk about for the next 10, 15 minutes. Just again in review, we started off the year with Fox Online and Fox Hybrid. Fox Online is mainly Edgenuity based, self-paced. There's teachers on the other end of that are kind of managing that program. And then Fox Hybrid is what we've been doing based out of all the schools. Our 2 days of live meetings are 3 days off, doing independent learning. And over time, we realized as we got closer to this that we needed to have a third option. And so that's what the CDL program is going to be. And then as Fox Hybrid moved into Fox Hybrid in person. So now we kind of have 3 programs running simultaneously, which makes things a little complicated, but hopefully I can explain that enough where you feel comfortable. Again, I always use the cohort A example, but right now this is the schedule for kids that are in virtual Fox Hybrid. Again, the A cohort example, Tuesday, Thursday, the live class periods, the lunch break, and then the 4th period, which is usually an elective. The foundational thing, the foundation of this will stay the same for kids that are moving into Fox Hybrid in person, but what will change is the detail. And we've talked about this before, but basically, if they are A cohort, there's everything in their week is staying the exact same, except they're coming into the building on Tuesday and Thursday. And B cohort, everything's staying the exact same, except they're coming in the building Wednesday and Friday. And so I was hoping to get a definite answer on the 7:55 start time and the 12:30 dismissal, but we are still waiting for Durham to give us definite answers on bus routes, and then for the high school and the middle school to have definite beginning and ending times so that those things can work together. And Durham's pretty overloaded with all the weird scheduling that they're having to do. So I can't definitely say that it's 7:55 to 12:30, but it's going to be pretty close. I think we would at most be 5 or 10 minutes difference. And so we'll do this dismissal process a little bit later. I'll talk about that, but they'll be dismissed right around 12:30. They'll have that travel home time. And then even for that fourth period, which will be virtual, I have a little mark next to that too, because I think 1:30 will work with the bus route times. But we'll take a look at that. And if it's not working out, if kids don't have enough time when they get home and eat lunch and all of that, we can adjust that. And then that still leaves some office hours for teachers to touch base. And I know some AG teachers are going to be scheduling some stuff in the afternoons with their AGs. So this is probably what the schedule is going to look like, or at least really, really close in terms of times. So, and then obviously B cohort would just be the Wednesday, Friday. Adding a little bit to this, I talked about this last week. These are not new in terms of what we've all heard in various places for the past year, but just some safety protocol and information. And I think if we do the mask, the distancing, and the hand washing and sanitizing well, I think we'll be doing a good job. And if we can really lock those three things down, the other stuff just kind of adds to that in terms of running a safe school. And so, yeah, just as a reminder, and this isn't new, but masks are required and they need to be worn correctly. The social distancing is going to happen. And then the hand sanitizer and the hand washing also. So I have hand sanitizer stations all over the school at all the main entry points. We have hand sanitizer bottles in the classrooms. If kids want to have their own hand sanitizer, that's fine, but we'll have plenty of that throughout. One of the things that I say only essential visitors can come on campus, and that's mainly in the office. We're not going to have volunteers throughout the school or people coming on campus and then going to a classroom. And so if you need to come to the campus to pick up your student or ask some questions, just make sure you go to the main office. I talked about this last week, but basically every room in the district has been assessed for outside air intake and airflow, and anything that isn't up to standard has had an air purifier in it. And I don't remember last count, but we have quite a few air purifiers in the old Schlater campus, and those are all in place and ready to go. It's still recommended that people wear layers just in case we want some more airflow, and it might be kind of cool. But it is reassuring that we have some air purifiers in lots of our older rooms, especially. I talked a lot about the stable small cohorts last time, and so I won't talk about that again, but just know that we spent a lot of time making sure those cohorts were very, very small, especially to start with, and that there was no mixing of cohorts throughout the day, just so that we get a good start coming back. And also the goal there is, if there is an outbreak, that it's very contained and that we're not talking about half the school having to stay home. I have in there drop off and pick up, and parents need to stay in their vehicles, unless of course you need to meet with a staff member or me after school or something like that, then just park in a normal spot. But just generally make sure you stay in your cars. One thing that has come up is the home screening. And that's something that I attached to this parent square, and you've probably seen before. And I just clipped a little bit of it on this PowerPoint. But these are generally the questions that you need to be asking in terms of your child about whether they should come to school. And that's going to be a key. We're going to do screening when they get here, but it's going to be a visual screening and just a general idea of if looking for symptoms, but really at home is the first most important screening. So please take a look at that attachment. And again, this is something that a lot of businesses and pretty much everything in our society has asked people to do. And so our nursing team has developed this. And so please take a look at that in terms of the rest of the year about if any of these things are true, then the student shouldn't be coming to school, and then to make contact with the school to get next steps on that. A couple other specific things, and I sent these out, but I want to touch on them again. The cohorting got broken down to where there's teacher teams of 3. And so I asked those teacher teams of 3 on Monday to meet together, look in the rooms that they're going to be in, and then generate a specific list of supplies that kids would need for those specific classes. And so if you haven't heard from those teachers yet, you should be this week. And then they're also going to reinforce that during orientation week about what supplies that your student will need to bring every time they come. And that is going to be a key, because they're going to need to bring their Chromebook and then this list of supplies. And we're asking for a water bottle too, so that they can have water to drink throughout the day each time they come in. And that will come in with them, and then all that stuff will go back with them each time, just so we can avoid any or a lot of sharing of supplies and all of that. Food and water. So some topics that come up quite a bit are snacks. Kids can bring snacks. We just are asking that they don't need to be, as long as they don't have to be refrigerated, and it's nothing that needs to be heated up. So something simple in a little bag, or a granola bar or whatever, that isn't going to be too messy, and they can eat fairly quickly, because we want to be responsible about not having lots of kids with their masks off eating. And then if we're giving them a snack break in a responsible way, that it's pretty quick. Each of our teacher teams are working together about the protocols for that, making sure people are spread out, making sure that it's more controlled. And so we don't want kids to be just snacking whenever, and that it's going to be scheduled throughout their day. But just make sure those snacks are something that can be pretty simple and pretty quick. We do want kids to have water bottles though. We're asking that they're not bringing in big coffees and anything with lids or straws or anything like that, but just the nice, strong, water bottles that we can keep it simple, keep things clean, but then we also, let kids drink water throughout the day, which is good. Electronics. Again, I mentioned the Chromebook. Some people have asked that your kids have been using their personal iPads or tablets or laptops or anything like that. We're asking that once they start coming in, that they use the Chromebooks, so we have enough Chromebooks for every kid. And if they don't have that yet, they can come in the office anytime this week. Just give us a call or stop by, and we can give them a Chromebook. They can keep using their personal stuff at home. Obviously, that's completely fine. But when they come into the building, we just want them using the district issued Chromebooks. Same rules apply for cell phones and smartwatches and all that have always applied. They're extremely distracting for kids, and I think you would probably admit as an adult, they're extremely distracting as well. And so we don't go rooting through people's backpacks searching for cell phones or anything like that, but we're just asking that cell phones and smartwatches, we just don't want them seen or heard or anything like that until the school day is over. And if they want to take it out of their bag at 12:30 as they're walking out to give you a call, let you know they're ready to go, that's totally fine. But when we're in school, we're just asking that those aren't present. Student medication, my secretaries wanted me to remind you guys that if you have medication that your student needs to take during the day, please come to the office. They have a plan to how to get it to them. And we're open 7 to 4, so please bring it by in the original container, and we'll make a plan for them to get what they need throughout the day. Okay. I talked about this in detail, but I just want to review it real quick about arrival and dismissal, because this is going to be a time where we're going to have a lot of staff out there and a lot of different things than normal. And so I just want to make sure that we are on the same page. Like I talked about before, 6th grade and 7th grade and 8th grade are all split apart. This is not what we normally do, but with our desire to keep cohorts separate and kids from mixing, we decided that we wanted to spread this apart. And so 6th grade is going to be in the modulars. And so their drop-off point for kids who are riding in cars is going to be behind the gym. And so the second point here, and I'll talk about it in a little bit, is if you're a 6th grader and you get dropped off by the bus, or you're a walker, then you need to come through the main office. And so 6th grade's a little bit spread apart, but it's also where there's going to be a lot of staff, because I know some 6th graders are pretty nervous about coming to this building for the first time. And so I want to have a lot of staff there present to help people get where they need to go. So I'm going to show the parent drop off first, and then I'll get to the buses and walkers. So you're coming off the north side of James Street. We're going to loop around the point at where we're going to do the screening, and where you would drop off is right where it says entry right there. You'll just pull up, your student will get out. There'll be some staff there. We'll do a visual check, say hi, how you doing? And then get them going in the right direction. And then you'll just loop back around and exit in the same way that you came. 7th grade, this is where we really change it up from normal. We are going to go the opposite direction. I'm going to have signs out there. I'm going to have staff out there. And so hopefully we won't have any, people coming right at each other. We'll be out there ready to go. But 7th grade, you're going to come in the same way 6th grade does, except you're going to take an immediate right and go to the gym and drop off right into the gym. And then 7th grade students, there'll be people there ready to meet you, say hi, how you doing, visual check, and then their classroom will be somewhere along James Street. And then 8th grade parents who already know the drill are going to be doing the same thing you always do, which is go in off of Brown Street, go in the district office parking lot, loop around, and drop off right there by the district office. And then 8th graders, though, don't go into the main office doorway. You're going back through the gate, back by room 1, and we'll have a spot there. We'll have staff there, and we'll get them where they need to go. So again, that's the drop off. That's the arrival in the morning. Bus drop off and walkers. Buses are going to pull up on Schlater Street. And then 7th grade are just going to walk down the sidewalk right to the gym. Same entry point as all the other 7th graders. 6th graders are just going to go right through the main office. And so we'll have people outside the office making sure they know where to go to. But if you're getting dropped off by the bus or you're walking, you come to the main office, down the hallway, and then right to the modulars. And we'll have our screening spot there as well. So then they can just go right to class. And then 8th graders are going around the same side. So no matter if you're, for 7th and 8th grade, if you're a walker, a bus rider, or getting dropped off by a parent, you're going in the exact same spot. If you're a 6th grader, there's a little bit of a difference, but we'll have a lot of staff there to help people out. Dismissal is just the reverse of that process. And I'm going to zoom in here in a little bit and talk about the differences with the dismissal, but we're going to go in waves. We're going to dismiss walkers and bike riders first, and we'll have staff there. They'll walk them out the exact same way they came, get them out onto Schlater Street, and then they'll go on their way. Same thing with bus riders. After a couple minutes, we'll dismiss bus riders. We'll walk them out. They'll get right on the bus, and then they can be on their way. And then third will be car riders. And then that's when all our teachers will come out and man these areas, just so we make sure that we have this process down, and then they can get in their cars and go. So I wanted to zoom in because this is very different than what we normally do. And I just want to make sure that people know what's going on. So for 6th grade, and this again is for pickup in the afternoon, you're going to come in off James Street and come around, and the yellow arrows is your entry point. And basically what I would like the first person here to pick somebody up is to stop right at the end of that last yellow arrow. And then we can start lining up. Now, this would be concerning to me if we hadn't split every class in half and had really small cohorts. But I think we have plenty of room back there for the number of cars that are going to come. If we don't, then we're going to probably expand that loop a little bit, and then maybe even double up the loop in certain spots just so we have enough space. But what will happen is you guys will line up right there, and then when the teachers come out with the kids, they will work their way around the outside of that loop and get kids in cars, and then you can start heading on your way. I'm going to have a lot of staff out there to start with because I want to make sure that we do it right. The kids know where to go. I'm probably going to be back there making sure that it works. But I think if we line up in a pretty straightforward way, and then all my teachers are coming out and other staff are coming out, then we can make it pretty smooth. One thing to mention is when you pull up to leave onto James Street, we're going to have high school traffic out there. We're going to have you guys trying to get out that way. Some parents coming in, 7th grade parents coming in the same way. The easiest thing to do usually in the afternoons is to take a right. I know that doesn't make sense in terms of where you're going necessarily, but if you can, taking a right when you exit would help a lot. If it doesn't make sense and you can take a left, that's totally fine. It may help traffic go a little bit if you take a right. So that's 6th grade dismissal. 7th grade dismissal, you're entering the same way you do in drop off, and you're lining up along the curb on the south side of that parking lot. And again, this would concern me, except that we only have half the number of people and we're splitting the grades in 3. And so I think we have enough space to just have one long line right there. And then when 7th grade gets dismissed, all the teachers are going to come out. We're going to spread out. We're going to get kids in cars, and then we'll be on our way. And then again, we reverse the traffic flow on that one. So hopefully we'll be all right there. And then 8th grade families, again, this is how it always looks. I don't think we'll need to double up there on that entry point of the district office. If you've ever been, so in the first week of normal school in September, there's a lot of people who are dropping off their kids in the district office parking lot. And so we actually, on that entry, you see there's 2 arrows. There's enough room there to have 2 lines of cars that then merge together as they turn the corner. I don't think we're going to need that because that is a big parking lot. And so I think that can just be one long line. And then as we have kids walk down the curb right there, as they enter your car, there's plenty of room. And we always do it this way. You can pull out and go by people if they're still waiting for their student. I don't think that's going to be as big of an issue as it normally is because we're all coming out at the same time. So it should be a pretty fast process once we get going. So hopefully that helps a little bit. We'll have tons of people out there. We'll have lots of signage. We'll try to make it as clear as possible. And I just want to make it smooth and make it quick so that you're not waiting in line for a long time. Just a reminder, I've sent this out before, and then teachers are sending out a lot of specific information about orientation week. And so hopefully it's making more and more sense as we get close. But the way I've been describing it to parents that I've talked to is that basically everything stays the same for their week. Everything stays the same, except one day they're coming in for in-person. One day, that's it. So the Monday's the same, the Thursday and Friday are the same, and it's just that one day that they're coming in to the building. So for cohort A, it's Tuesday. For cohort B, it's Wednesday. Teachers have been working a lot in their teacher teams of 3. Each period is going to take a little bit of kind of the protocols that we've talked about and talk about them. You know, where do we go get water? Where do we go to the bathroom? How do we do this? How do we do that? And they're going to go through all of those things, plus weave in some fun stuff and to get to know you stuff because they're excited to actually have kids in front of them. So it'll be a mix throughout the day of orientation, plus hopefully just being able to talk to people face to face and see their friends and see their teachers. Some reminders about dates. So we're in the middle of pausing our LIPI programs with some exceptions. Orientation week is next week. Again, same kind of week, just one day coming in. After spring break, then is the first week of full hybrid in person, which means those 2 days. And then we don't come back for very many weeks until the end of the 3rd quarter. And then we start our 4th quarter of the year and get into the last part of it. So it's amazing. There's been a lot that's happened and it seemed slow at times, but then also I can't believe we're approaching 4th quarter. I linked these in or I attached these to the last parent square that I sent. It's the chart I referenced. Can my child go to school today? And also some other information that might be interesting to you. So I can go to a question portion right now. I don't have very long until I need to transition to CDL because I need to make sure I give enough time for that program. Therese, do you have any questions that you have been looking at or have been asked that we could address pretty quickly?
Nope, we don't have any questions in the chat yet.
Okay. I'm going to take a look at some of the other stuff. The bus, we've been getting a lot of questions about buses. They're working. They're working on those. I know that a lot of the elementary schools didn't get some of those until they started. I mean, they started this week. And so, I mean, they're having to create very unique schedules. And so hopefully we'll get those soon. Yeah, so, I mean, that's all I can say. You can call Durham about that, but we're also calling them every day and asking them for the schedule as well.
I would say too, that we just encourage people that as you see, other classmates in the grocery store or other parents around town, to check in with them about that. And if they haven't signed up for that busing, to make sure and contact the office, because we do want to start that hybrid on site with the most complete transportation plan possible. So any help you can give in spreading that word would be great.
That is a great point. A great point. What somebody asked today in an email about the plan for hallways. So today we were putting vinyl stickers all around the school. We're going to be doing some stuff outside the school too, basically arrows for directions in the hallways and for spacing. We're just putting, I mean, just like you've seen in stores and other places, we're putting that stuff all over. We're not going to have a ton of traffic flow though throughout the school, at least when we start. And so it's not going to be as big of an issue at the beginning, but we're ready for it and we'll have that all down.
And I would add, as I was talking with campus security today, Mr. Rapay, and he was saying that it's the same traffic recommendations that they give to students in a regular year. So kids aren't going to be asked to walk in crazy routes or different things like that. They spend a lot of time asking students to keep to the right, make sure you stay to the right. And so they're still doing that. And I know that some people think, oh my gosh, school is going to be so institutional looking and whatnot. But I have to tell you that Mr. Davison and the rest of the office staff ordered some really cool looking arrows. It's all in Falcon green, and it actually just looks very festive and kind of fun. So it'll look even better when kids are in there walking, but it looks good.
Yeah, I said a long time ago, I don't care what they want me to do. I'll wear a bubble. I just want kids to come back. And people are super excited and getting more excited the more we're getting rooms ready. And I know it'll be different, but we're just really looking forward to it. So, okay, so it's 7:32. And
you got a quick question in the chat. Will the kids know ahead of time which room to go to first for orientation? And I did ask that today of whether we were going to be printing schedule or how that works. And in AGs, the teachers are going to be talking to the students about which classroom they report to right away when they get to school. And remember that students aren't going to be wandering through the whole school looking for classrooms. Each grade level cohort is entering in their specific area, and there's just a couple room choices to go to. So there's not really any room for them to get lost, and the teachers will be out there welcoming them too. So it should be very easy for them to find where they need to go.
Yeah, especially with sixth graders, we will have people all along the way. And once they get to that entry point and the person's there, we're going to have a list of kids, their classroom. And so once we say, hey, how you doing? And if we don't know them, what's your name? And we'll get them right to the correct class. So, and I know that's nerve-wracking for sixth graders. My high school daughter has spent most of her life at the high school and yet is still nervous about walking into the high school as a freshman. And so I get the nervousness there, but we'll have lots of people there to help. Okay, so if you're a Fox Hybrid in-person family, appreciate you coming. If you have any questions, either email me or respond in the parent square, give me a call, whatever you want. And if you have any specific questions, I'd love to talk to you about that. And so you can you can log off if you want, because I'm going to transition to CDL. And then we're going to, when I send this out as a parent square, I'll just say, okay, at 33 minutes, it's all about CDL. So basically everything I say from this point forward doesn't have to do with in-person. This is all CDL. I just want to make that clear. So, all right. And I leave a little gap for Maddie to edit the video. Okay. So CDL information. And so welcome CDL families. If you are live or if you're watching this as a recording, I want to give you some basic information about the CDL program and then get a little more specific than last week, but probably more importantly, introduce you to the teachers that are going to be a part of that and have them explain in a little more detail what's going to happen with CDL. So I'm going to go through, again, a timeline, a little bit about orientation, but I'll let the teachers talk about that, who the teachers are, talk about the schedule, and just remind you a little bit about electives and for SMS kids about AG. So our important dates, I mean, obviously we're through a few of these, but had a parent forum where I kind of split it in half last time as well in terms of talking about in person and then CDL. CDL teachers reached out to you last week with some initial information and some introductions, and then the same thing has continued this week. They're here tonight and I'll have them talk in a little bit. And then one of the key dates that is coming up pretty quick, that's an important one, is March 12th. So that's going to be the last day for current classes. And so we talked about this as a staff a little bit this week. And this is not the easiest transition point because we're not at a quarter transition. But basically what we're going to do is we're going to take where they are right now, no matter what school they're in, take the grades that they have, print that out, and then we're going to transition into this program to finish the year. And so then we'll somehow take a look at both of those things, where they were when we started and what they've done since, to come up with kind of final grades. Now, we're not in high school, and so our rules for how to do that aren't quite as strict. And so we just want to be reasonable in this circumstance and just and basically focus on the learning and not get too bogged down with how exactly to make that transition, because it's going to be hard to make that transition with everyone really smoothly. But March 12th is the last day. So if I would encourage your student, whatever classes they're in right now, if they're behind, to make sure that they get everything they can in so that teachers can grade the stuff and get that locked into the system before they print grades for us to look at before they transition. So in our systems, in our information system and in our grade book and all of that, if they are going to be essentially sort of dropped from what they're normally doing, and then starting Monday, they're going to be entered into this new program. And so there's going to be a hard ending point and a hard starting point to this. And so it's important that they try to finish everything that they can before Friday and communicate that with their teachers. The same orientation week is going to happen in terms of timeline, but it'll just look different for CDL kids, and our teachers will talk about that in a second. And then spring break like normal, and then first full week of CDL right after spring break. And I talked about this before. We'll talk about orientation week in a second, but with classes, we decided to view the rest of the year a little differently than the middle school is doing it. We did quarters where we sort of rotated classes, but since we were kind of merging everybody, we decided we would like to do English for the rest of the year, math for the rest of the year, and then social studies and science for the rest of the year. And I'll have those teachers talk about how they're going to do that. And then, and I have an elective as a question mark. So for SMS kids, you will continue with the current elective that you are taking until the end of the third quarter, and then you'll transition to whatever elective that you signed up for fourth quarter, if that's what you want to keep doing. And that's maybe a conversation you have with your teachers to see if that's something that you can continue, because you totally can, even if you're switching to CDL. So you will stay in your elective class. We want to give you that option. For anybody coming from a K-8, we can't have you jump into an elective right away, but we want to offer you an elective fourth quarter if you want to. So you don't have to do that, but if you want to do that, you need to talk to your teacher, your new CDL teacher, who will talk to the counselor and kind of get that process started. So you won't start an elective right away. You can starting fourth quarter only if you want to. So we won't make you do that. And then just to review a little bit, and I'll show this in the schedule, but our three teachers for this program are Katie Ross, Scott Guptill, and Mackenzie Warden. And each of them are going to be teaching some different things in different grades. And this is what it's going to look like in terms of the schedule. So we had to merge somehow, all the kids that were doing different things. And so we decided to function a little bit off of what Silverton Middle School was doing. And so sixth grade are going to have their live class days on Wednesday and Friday at 9, 10, and 11. And then later in the afternoon, 1:30, if they want to do an elective. But SMS kids, remember, you still are doing your elective once we make this switch. And then you see seventh grade schedule right there and eighth grade schedule and who they're with. So this is going to be that format. So it's basically going to be the same format as what's happening right now with Fox Hybrid in a virtual setting. We just have to switch the cohorts to grades just to make it work with the staff that I have. So now I want to switch to introducing the three teachers. And so we're going to have Mrs. Ross talk a little bit about her classes. And then we're going to have Mr. Guptill talk about his, and then Mrs. Warden talk about hers. So I'm going to mute and give it over to them.
Okay. So I was given a little bit of a hard time today. As you can tell, I have like a little daisy and hot pink writing and whatnot. My previous teaching life was at K1 in Mount Angel for 12 years. And so hence the daisy and whatnot. You'll notice the high school and middle teacher slides look a little bit different. So there's just a little background before I even get into anything. It's actually my fourth year teaching at Silverton Middle School. I've done ELA the past 3 years, a little bit this year too, and then starting math, which is my true love. So I'm super happy to be doing math for 6th and 7th graders this year. I have two kids, one 5th grade boy and one 2nd grade daughter. And so I am living the CDL online learning dream with the rest of you parents. So I understand what it's like working and having two kids on the computer doing school and trying to navigate all of that. So I completely relate to any of you going through that right now. So for CDL, for my 6th and 7th graders for ELA, we will have 2 live meets each week. So 6th graders will be on Wednesdays and Fridays, 7th graders will be on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And those live days will actually be learning some things together. I'll be teaching them, I'll have slides up, we'll be doing things together. So it's really crucial that they attend those live days, because on their off days, they'll be doing tasks that relate to our live lesson days. So it's really important to have them attend. I'm really going to try to keep my class periods, so for ELA specifically, an hour or less worth of work a day. So if your child is spending more than that amount of time, please reach out and let me know. As a mom of 2 kids doing this as well, I don't want them on the computer that long all day. So ELA time, plan for a good hour. If not less than that. Same thing with math. We'll have 2 live days. We'll do warm-ups. We'll go over new concepts together, do some practice problems. They can ask questions. And then on their off days, they'll have assignments that relate to what we covered on their own to work on. So same thing again, expect an hour worth of work or less each day. If they're going over that, reach out to me. And on the flip side, if you're finding that your child needs something extra, a little bit more, reach out to me privately and I can work on you with that. My elementary background, we did a lot of differentiating, and so that's nothing new. Don't be afraid to reach out if you need something extra, or on the flip side, if your kid is struggling and you need some extra things along those lines. And I'm excited to see all of your kids.
All right, Mr. Guptill.
All right, hi. I'm Mr. Guptill, and I'll be doing, I'm looking for my slide to pop up, Mr. Davison. I'll be doing science and history, as well as 8th grade math. Let's go back a little bit. This is my 9th year within the Silver Falls School District. I started at Mark Twain Middle School and went through all the transition into Silverton Middle School. Total years teaching is my 15th year in education. The past 4, I can't remember with COVID now, but 4 years I've been doing Dean of Students at Silverton Middle School and handling and supporting student discipline or just support in general. So going back even to Mrs. Ross talking about differentiation and helping students where they're at, I have a huge heart for trying to help students. Not everybody learns the same, and I think that's evident right now. You guys have with the three different classes that kinds of education that's available with Fox Online, with the CDL, or with hybrid. It really is, I mean, education is different for everybody. So I appreciate you wanting to continue with the style of learning that your students have started from the beginning of the year and just continue out. I am a father of 11 children. Yep, 11. My youngest is 4 weeks. We just had a little one born on Valentine's Day. So that was really exciting. And then my oldest, also just who's married, just bought her house with her husband. So like I'm on like both extremes, but it's really exciting. For the CDL, I will be doing history and science for 6th and 7th grade. Just like Mrs. Ross talked about beforehand, we're going to do live days. They're going to be for the history. It'll be a live day, depending on if it's Wednesday or Friday or Tuesday, Thursday, but there will be live meetings, and I will go over new concepts. I'll talk about what the assignments are going to be looking like, and there'll be a mix of using Edgenuity and Canvas. Primarily, I'll be using Canvas to help facilitate a conversation, have some assignments and things of that nature, and the other program will be used to help, that'll be on the off days when students are not in this class with live. That'll be a good hour, just like Mrs. Ross said. Also, there's some good question about how science is going to be working with doing history and science. I don't want it to be a huge burden, that there's twice as many classes or something of that nature. But what it's going to do is have it be, it'll be more of an online for the science. We really want to keep the students moving forward with their science through the year. So that's one of the ways that we're going to make that happen. And then for math, 8th grade, I'll be doing 8th grade math, and I have some advanced 8th grade math as well. I'll be working through students with the common problems, with the warm-ups, reviews, and also how to do some new concepts with it. Again, I've got 11 kids. I've been going through math for quite a few years, and know as a parent, it can be really frustrating to try to navigate through some of the math concepts. So I'm going to be here to help your students make it through that. If they have any questions, then they can certainly email, and we can talk about some of those problems. But in the live meetings, it should take care of it. So it's going to, all of the classes are going to run fairly similar between Mrs. Ross, myself, and Mrs. Warden. So fortunately, your students will have that consistency with the CDL. So that's it for me.
Thank you, Scott. Okay, Mrs. Warden.
Okay, I got a little stage fright. Forgot I had to push the buttons. Okay, so I'm Miss Warden. I started my career at the high school, so when we were going through the slides, everyone teased me. I like a nice clean slide. So this is my 4th year in the district. I've taught high school English and actually now middle school English, and then 7th and 8th grade history at the middle school. So I'm going to be covering 8th grade minus math. So ELA 8, I taught actually freshman English, so I kind of know what the kids need to be prepared and be really successful as freshmen. So we're going to be doing a little bit of writing, working on citing sources, which is a huge one, a book study towards the end of the quarter. And again, those live classes will be Wednesday and Friday at 10. So you'll go from Mr. Guptill straight from math straight to me. And then again, independent tasks on Canvas on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. So I am not going to do Edgenuity for ELA. That'll just be things that our teacher created. And so you will, like Ms. Ross said, want to show up on your live days so you know what to expect and you're not, what am I doing? And then we'll move into US history. So again, we wanted kids to be fresh in both those classes and not miss out. So since I am a history teacher and that's my strong suit, on our live days on Wednesdays and Fridays at 11, that will be our history content together. So we'll have some cool tasks, short assignments, discussions, and we are going to be covering US history. So I know if you're from the outline school, it might be a little repeat because depending on what school you're at, you are taught in rotation. But for our SMS kids, this should pick up pretty closely to where you've left off with Miss Stadley. In a normal year, I teach US history too. So this is my content. I know it. You're going to love it. Okay. And then on your off days, because I want to make sure I don't teach you anything in science, it will be an Edgenuity course. So it'll be about an hour and a half to 2 hours of work a week. So that'll be on your off days. So when I don't see you, this could be Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, you are going to be going through a few modules of the most important things to know before you go to high school. I'm actually working with the 8th grade science teacher. He's helping me come up with this, this program. And I will be available to help though. So even though I'm not teaching live the science, on your off days, we can have one-on-ones. We can work through the lessons together. We can take the quizzes together. And just because I, might not lecture on science, I am all right on science. All right. So I can help make sure you understand the main concepts from your science courses. But the biggest thing is just going to be showing up. We got to get to June. You guys got it. 8th grade graduation on the horizon. And so I think it'll be really fun. It'll be a great time together. And that's all I have, Mr. Davidson.
Thank you, Ms. Warden. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
They all volunteered. They all really wanted to come here tonight. So hopefully that helps make a little more sense about what CDL will look like. They've been putting in a lot of time teaching presently, and then also trying to create another program that starts seamlessly. So I really appreciate that. They've been working a lot of extra to try to make that work and to make CDL the best possible thing for our kids. And so that's something that we'll get going, and we'll hopefully just stay for the rest of the year in a circumstance that that families like. And even though we're creating a third program, I think we have options for families, and I like options, especially this year. So if it doesn't look like there's any specific questions, the best people to ask questions about those classes are the teachers that you just heard from. And so you should have already got emails from them. If you're hearing this and you haven't, please reach out to me, call the middle school, and I'll get you the contact information so that we can start that conversation. So hopefully this helped. I don't think that, okay, so Teresa just put that in the chat for the names. Really appreciate you coming out. Really appreciate you taking the time. Looking forward to getting kids back in building next Tuesday, and then also looking forward to getting the CDL program up and running so we can meet the needs of all our kids. So thank you, and I will see you soon.